Curtis from the Common Canine, and today we're going to talk about thresholds. Thresholds is basically anything you walk through in a way, whether it's a door, a gate, up a flight of steps, down a flight of steps. You know, basically anything I'm walking through is a threshold. So the idea with a dog is, you know, there's a couple things. One is I don't want to be yanked through the door, for one. I don't want him dragging me out there. The other one is if I don't have a leash on him, I definitely don't want him running out. And the reason is when a dog gets out of the doorway, you know, especially the front door, what happens there is they run out, there's adrenaline that's pumping, they're all excited, and they're probably going to chase the first thing they see. Whether it's a squirrel, a kid on a bike, a cat, you know, any of that stuff, they're just going to bolt after it. And they're not looking both ways, you know, they're not checking traffic. You know, so that's when dogs get hurt, that's when they get ran over, hit by cars, you know, bad stuff happens. As well as simply making bad choices because the adrenaline is flowing. What I mean by that is there's somebody walking their dog down the street. If your dog bolts out of your front door, your dog is probably going to run up to that dog. It could create a dog fight. Or maybe he's going to run up to the kid on a bike and jump on him, you know, knock the kid down. So basically, it's important stuff for a dog not to rush through a threshold. So now we're going to discuss how we're going to go over how to do it. So the first thing I'm going to do is basically, I want to make rules in front of the door. The first rule is to simply sit in front of it. Sit in front of any closed door I approach. If he lays down, you know, I'm okay with that. You know, that just means he's a little bit more mellow. You can watch our YouTube video about how to teach the sit. You notice I didn't use any commands, it's just, you know, natural stuff that are going on. But now, the idea, when I go to open the door, is the dog going to get up? Maybe. You know, the idea there is at the end of the day, you're dealing with a dog. They think for themselves. They're going to do kind of whatever they want for the most part. But the idea, what's important is how do we handle that stuff? If we're expecting a perfect result every single time, we're going to be very disappointed in it. And if we're disappointed, we're going to feed that negative energy into the dog. I don't want this guy to be upset every time I walk through the door, you know. I'm just going to make some rules here and I'm going to enforce those rules. So the way I'm going to enforce it is this. I'm holding the leash up over him and I'm keeping it pretty short. If I'm holding it like this, it ain't going to work out too well for me. I want it to be nice and short like this, no pressure on it though. When I go to open the door, if he gets up, what happens is he gets a pop. The pop means I don't like what you just did. I shut the door back and then I put him into a sit again. And then I'm just going to repeat it as many times as it takes. If it takes me 10 times to get out this door, you know, oh well, it takes me 10 times to get out the door. But if I'm going to make a rule, and I did, you know, the rule is, hey, sit in front of the door, I have to enforce that rule every single time. If I make a rule and I don't enforce it, you know, what does that say about me? You know, it says I'm inconsistent, you know, to the dog, and that's going to transfer to other areas as well. So I want to make sure that this actually has meaning here. So, hold the leash here. I go to open the door. That's all I want. If he gets up at this point, I'm actually okay with it. It's just that initial, when that door opens, you know, I don't want him to move then. Because at that moment, that's when the adrenaline really gets pumping. That's when they get up and they bolt out of this thing and they're running down the street and, you know, bad stuff happens. So the next part of this is now I actually want to get out of the door without being dragged around. I don't want him yanking me out of this thing. So the way I'm going to do that is I approach the threshold, and the threshold is, you know, a little wooden strip down there. And out on the steps is going to be the first step, and going up any flight of steps, again, the first one. And this is going to be through any threshold. I walk up to it, I stop. You know, just for a second or two. You know, I'm not looking for a 5-minute ordeal to get out of it, you know, the front door. So I walk up to it, I stop. I don't care if he looks at me. I don't care if he sits. Just don't drag me out the door. Now, if I see a little foot touch the threshold, that means he's trying to get out, you know, before me. He's not paying attention to me. So at that moment, foot touches it, I give him a pop, and again, the pop means I don't like what you just did. So now I walk up to it. You know, like I said before, at this point, I don't care if he looks at me, I don't care if he sits. Just don't drag me through the door. Now, I walk forward. I stop at the steps as well. This is really important if you're ever going up and down a flight of steps, that they don't take that first step, especially going down. If you take that first step going down, he's probably dragging you all the way. So control of that first one is going to make it a lot safer. So same thing going up the steps. I stop in front of it. At this point, if he did step onto it, so that way you kind of see what it looked like. So in other words, I walk up to it, I stop, his little foot touches it, I would actually give him a pop to let him know, hey, I don't like that, you know, don't do that. And then I'm going to turn around and do it again. And I'm going to repeat this as many times as it takes to get that behavior, not stepping in front of me. Again, if it takes 10 times, it takes 10 times. But the idea there is, I made a rule. The rule is, don't step on this. Don't rush through the door, you know, things like that. So in other words, I'm not going to walk up these steps until I get what I want. And I want it to be near perfect too. It's not going to be walk up here, pop them, and then go up the steps. It's no, if I pop them, I'm going to turn around and do it again until I get up there. So again, I walk up here, I stop, same thing. And again, I don't care who's looking at me, I don't care about any of that stuff. Just don't drag me through the door. I walk up here, and I'm done, that's it. Real simple, basic stuff, nothing complicated. Under normal speed, you know, if you were actually sitting here talking to a camera, this stuff's going to add maybe 5 seconds to your day here. You know, it's not going to be 5 minutes, just 5 seconds. So it's real easy for everybody. Walk up to the door, put him into a sit, open the door. Hopefully, you know, after a while he won't be getting up or anything. You walk out, stop for again just a couple seconds, and then you walk on out the door. If I was actually leaving for the day, once I got to the other side of the door, I would put him into a sit there. I would put him into a sit before I shut it. And that's just mainly to help him make a better choice. So what I mean by that, as soon as I turn around, I got my keys out and I'm trying to miss the door, I'm not really paying attention to anything else. I'm trying to lock the door. So if a squirrel runs by, a cat runs by, if your dog is not sitting, he's more likely to chase him. If he's sitting, he's a little bit less likely to. So it's just more of a safety protocol than anything. I'm going to show you what it looks like in normal speed. There you have it. I hope you learned something from our threshold video, and you can apply the same basic principle to crate doors, to car doors, to gates, barn doors if you got them, you know, just about anything.